Hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Embedding Social and Emotional Learning in Active Learning Part 1. My name is Kendall Havenstein and I'm the Smart Marketing Operations Manager for Smart Australia New Zealand. I'll be today's co-host supporting the presenters in the background who are just waiting on hold now. I'm going to go through a few housekeeping slides and then I'm going to hand it over and then I'll be back at the end to do a quick wrap up. So to control your control panel, you can shrink it down by clicking on the white and orange arrow at the top there that you can see at the top left of your menu, and that'll shrink down to the size you can see it on the right. To pop it back out, you click on the arrow again and it'll pop back out to the normal size. So to ask questions, you can type them into the question panel. If you just click on the arrow next to the word questions, it'll pop down. Or if you'd like to pop it completely out, you can do so as well by clicking on the arrow that's just at the top right, the arrow with, in the square there. And then to pop it back in, you just drag and drop it. So we will have a short question and answer segment at the end where you will be able to come off mute to ask a question that way as well. So you can just raise your hand, I'll take you off mute, and then you can ask your question. But we will save that way just for the end. But throughout, if you have any questions, please type them in because I'll be here to answer those throughout the webinar. You can earn a PD certificate for this webinar to go to attendance certificate to go towards your PD hours. So you log into training.smarttech.com, and if you click on the certification blue box in the middle, that'll pop out to all our webinars, or it'll be a big library. It's all laid out nicely though, easy to navigate. You just navigate to this webinar, and then at the end, there'll be a Mark Complete button pop up. If you just click on that, it'll automatically download you a PDF certificate that you can save locally. I normally have the recordings of the webinars with the certificate enabled at the end within 3 to 4 days after the live version. So for today, I should have it up Friday or Monday if you check back then. The presenters will be doing a Hello Smart activity today. So if you want to get that ready, you can just open up a different browser, or you can open up a new browser, or on a new device on your iPhone is fine as well, or if you have a separate monitor, if you've got a good setup at home. So just go to hellosmart.com and the presenters will provide you their class ID. When it comes to that stage, it'll be halfway through the webinar. They will have a slide that has their class ID. Once they move on from that slide, because they will have to move on to continue on with the activity, I'll pop their class ID into the chat box. So if you need that again, if you miss it. Okay, so I would like to hand it over to today's presenters, and I will be back at the end. Thanks a lot, ladies.
Thanks, Kendall.
Thank you
hi,
so much,
everyone.
Kendall.
Hi everyone, my name is Beck Walno. I am an educational consultant for Smart Technologies. Before my life here at Smart, I was a teacher of 15 years. I specialised in digital technology and adoption in our schools and HPE, so sport and tech, which I loved. And I have been using Smart since 2005 in my classrooms and have embedded it into every school that I have gone into. And I get to work with the lovely Molly. I'm Melbourne-based, Molly is Sydney-based, and Mols, I'm going to throw over to you.
Thanks so much, Beck. Hi, everybody. I hope everyone's had a fantastic day. I, like Beck, also work here at Smart. I'm an education consultant based in Sydney, and my background as well is in teaching. So teacher for 15 plus years, and both French and English in high school settings. Use the technology a lot, smart tech in my classrooms, got quite excited about the differences that I could see, the engagement levels of my year 9 French especially just going through the roof, and got quite excited to share that with the rest of the world. So became a trainer and now work at Smart, luckily enough. So that's me. We will get cracking today. As you can see, hopefully everyone can see my screen that's come up there. Yep, Beck's nodding, it should be there. A couple of things that we'll do to start with. Obviously, we've done our introductions, and today the focus is on social and emotional learning. So we'll be going through what that is. I'm sure everybody has quite a fair understanding of what it is already. Today we are focusing on CASEL's core competencies in this area. We know that there's obviously a huge amount of academics out there doing a lot of amazing work on social and emotional learning, and CASEL has really sort of led the way. So that's our focus for today. And then we'll be showing you how we use certain templates and lesson ideas and activities to actually embed that social and emotional learning in active learning. So, you know, Beck and I don't really use it sort of as a segmented area that we, you know, you kind of tick off. Oh, we did mindfulness today. We all did a breathing exercise at the beginning of the day and tick that off. We really sort of integrated into every single one of our classes in many different ways. And so we wanted to share that with you guys today. I will look, for those of you that have and are familiar with Smart Learning Suite online, I will get people to join. And I'm sorry, I didn't have my little slide ready, but Kendall did mention before, for those of you that did want to connect, so I am in Smart Learning Suite online. If you're new to the technology, it's a great way for us to share resources, and that's what we're going to do with you today. We are going to be sharing a number of our resources this way. So if you open either another tab there on your computer or pick up your phone, I'd prefer to sort of do it on my phone because you're obviously in the webinar as well. And then my class ID is 3070, so you can just join as a guest today. So I can see I've got my one student already in there. Who's first cab off the rank? Let me have a look. Good on you, Jane. Jane, I feel like you may have done this before. Hopefully you're using it in your class. We love it. And for those of you that are quite new to it, you'll see the power of it here too. Okay, look, I know Kenny's going to put that in the chat, so I'm going to keep moving. Okay, so let's move through to what is social and emotional learning, or we always have it initialized as SEL. Let's read together. The process through which children and adults acquire and effectively apply the knowledge, attitudes, and skills necessary to understand and manage emotions, set and achieve positive goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain positive relationships, and make responsible decisions. Beck, what did social emotional learning look like in your school setting, and how?
Yeah. Thanks, Miles. Social emotional learning was embedded and ingrained in every single lesson that we did. It was scaled across the curriculum and my apologies. It translated across the curriculum and it scaled across the year level. So in every single year level, you would see SEL ingrained and embedded into the lessons that we were doing in our classrooms. But it wasn't just in our learning in our classrooms. It was modeled throughout our school, our interactions with our students outside in the playground. It was also modeled with our parents. We did a lot of work on school home partnerships and how to support that SEL in our students, decision making, self-awareness, management. All of it was translated to our parents, and we were working as a unified group to actually model and support these skills both at school, in the classroom, outside, interactions with our peers and our teachers, and also at home with our parents.
Wow, really thorough. I really love that your school as well was including the whole community, because I think that's
it's really important. Yeah, absolutely. If you're looking at doing SEL, it's not as successful if you're just doing it in your classroom. It has to be a whole school approach. It has to be a whole community approach. And you know what, parents are doing it at home. It's just wonderful to call it out and outline it and actually pinpoint, these are amazing skills to have, and this is how we can support that open-mindedness, and this is the power of yet. We use that quite a lot in our school to do that. We used a lot of focus on student voice and student agency, and also empowering our parents to have that student voice in the classroom. So for this to be successful, for our students to see positive outcomes and developing these SEL skills, it definitely is a partnership between school and home.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And look, similar to my school as well, Beck, and what we really saw, and quite quickly too, was such an increase in engagement of the students, that real sort of buy-in, that sense of community, that sense of relationship. And I think now more than ever, I know we have been a bit lucky, well, depending on where you live in Australia, about sort of our lockdowns and being away sort of in a physical space with our community can, this more than ever I think is, so necessary. And of course we know that it's also important for our students because it's what they will really need, these skills for their future jobs. I don't need to sort of go too far into it, but Microsoft 2030 report obviously around the future of work, and they're the skills that are really needed. Those are the skills that can be automated, that our robotics are going to sort of take over, our technology is going to take over. It will never be able to take over these social emotional skills, the way to work dynamically as a team, the way as well that we can problem solve or be creative, things like that. So that now more than ever as well, that's sort of so important. A lot of the research as well, Beck, you would have seen that's come out, really confirms as well that, schools that are investing in social and emotional learning and really integrating it into their curriculum and their programs are also seeing an increase in their student outcomes. There's a few reports that actually point to an 11% increase in their student outcomes. So, an investment in social emotional learning is obviously then investing in the outcomes of your students, which is obviously, as teachers, where we always strive. So moving on, look, again, we're not going to go sort of too deep into this. We're all pretty aware that most schools are in some way sort of looking at social emotional learning and how that looks. But just for your reference, we have based our session today off CASEL, and this is sort of the areas, these are the areas here, these 5 key core competency areas in which they have called out. So self-management, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, social awareness and self-awareness. And out of those areas is obviously what those really, really necessary, important skills that we need to constantly give our students the opportunity to develop and to nurture. Did you want to add anything there, Beck?
Yeah, just that they tie into those non-cognitive or entrepreneurial skills that we are often talking about providing or facilitating an environment for our students to develop. So by doing or supporting and having these types of activities that focus on this social emotional learning, you're actually already creating that environment where your students are developing these entrepreneurial skills. There are correlations. They are the entrepreneurial skills that we're looking for our students to have. Interestingly, we did a survey at our school around what our parents wanted for their children. So we actually used Shout It Out and did asked them, their provocation was, what do you want for your child at the end of their schooling? And more often than not, almost 99% of them had something to do with these SEL learning capabilities, whether they were happy, whether they were able to cooperate, whether they were able to show initiative, whether they were able to critically think or be creative. All of that is supported by embedding social emotional learning into your active learning. And so by doing that, you were really setting our students up to succeed in the future.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. I really like that idea of, all of these skills and everything, and they are such a sort of big focus for sounds, parents and schools, running alongside the content and the way that we see that is that there are just better results and better understanding around concepts and around that content because of these skills. It's like, it's such a critical marriage, isn't it? And
Absolutely.
then look, that obviously just all confirms in CASELs, this is there. Everyone loves a little infograph about how it's all sort of captured in, obviously, that we're, everyone and everything sort of working together on these 5 different competencies, homes and communities, schools and classrooms. So, from that sort of wider perspective coming in and honing in sort of closer and closer, really for the students to be having the best set up for the best success. So look, enough on the theories and the reports and the data. Let's check in with you guys. So this is an activity that we do a lot with our own students, and it can come in so many different ways. I've chosen a shout it out for you guys today. So what will happen is you'll get little pushed, and this is a really nice one when we talk about being self-aware and aware of our emotions and aware of sort of where we're at. And this is just how are you feeling today? So what I'm going to ask you guys to do is if you could just grab an image. You can take a selfie if you're on your phone there, but you would have come up with a little chat box. And I've nominated images today rather than text. You might find a sunny, if you've got a bit of a sunny disposition this afternoon, you might put a picture of a sun there. If you're just a little bit meh today, you might sort of find something that sort of best represents your feelings of neutrality. So let's see who's there. I'm not even on yet. I'll try just get on quickly on my phone, hellosmart.com. You'd think I'd. Oh, that's nice. I'm going to turn your names off. So this is just about checking in with everyone and saying, oh, awesome. This is great. We've got this great little, that's exactly how I feel.
I'm feeling
tired. I'd like to be lying down at this stage of the game. We're going to put this great little picture probably just up on top of the hill because they've had a bit of a day and they're just resting at the peak. All right. Anyone else brave enough to send another little picture in? Doesn't have to be a selfie.
I can see a flower there, Moles.
Oh, great. It's hiding behind my little webcam of you. Oh, nice. On a sunshine. We've got somebody feeling that is one of the prettiest flowers.
Oh, that is beautiful. Will you be feeling very happy looking at that, surely?
Look at this sunshine beaming down on everyone. Maybe a bit of growth in that flower blooming today. You're blooming, you're feeling that. These are fantastic. And how am I feeling? All right, I'll move on. It's not about me.
I think this is a really great activity because not only do we get to see sort of how everyone's feeling, but we get to discuss it. So if you are in an environment where your students are happy to have their names turned on, you could actually talk to them about if they send up a puppy dog that's feeling tired, why might you be feeling tired? Maybe they didn't sleep well last night. Maybe something happened in the morning and they were feeling pretty rubbish and that made them tired. Or maybe they played so much at lunchtime that they're really exhausted. So that way you're able to differentiate your instruction or maybe even differentiate the activities of the lessons according to how the class is feeling. It's really great insight into not only how they're feeling but how we can proceed forward or maybe even help them along the way with how they're feeling. If they're feeling just like that, I could then talk to Moles and say, why are you feeling like that, Moles? And Moles might say, I've been struggling with a head cold for several days and I feel rubbish, but I'm super excited to be here. So maybe I could support Moles in that way and help her a little bit more along the way. So these are really great ways to check in and be able to support our students. Yes! That picture could not sum up how I feel more. I wish I'd found that picture. Well done.
That's so good. And the rest. Okay, great. And what's really nice as well, look, I forgot to tell you guys before. So I think you would have read when you signed up for the webinar that today's part 1, we're going to take you through the lessons, and part 2 for next week, we're going to show you how we built them. So just take it all in, soak it up, get some ideas of your own. So arm yourself for next week when we do the how-to bit, and you can kind of say, hey, I was thinking, that activity that you did with the shout out, could I do it in another way? And it's a nice way for us to have that minds on webinar rather than our hands on that we have these days and be able to sort of really meet your needs. Cool. Well, thanks guys for checking in. Hopefully everyone's sort of getting a good sense of where they are. And now we're going to move through to some of those areas now and have a look at some lessons. All right, so I'm going to head back to my...
So what you'll notice is that obviously we don't run all of these activities one by one. So what Molly's doing is actually showing you how she toggles in and out of lessons. Students don't have to change anything. If you've stayed logged in, when Molly goes into another lesson, you're going to be immediately pulled in. And so we're going to look at each 5 in different lessons so that you can see how quick and easy it is to jump in and out of lessons.
All righties. And just so you know as well, I've got it set to teacher pace at the moment because it just means that I'm actually guiding you through. But of course, there's a lot of occasion where we would put it on to student pace. So let's click through. Okay, so guys, today we will be looking at self-awareness as our first one here. So obviously things like self-efficacy and maintaining an optimistic attitude, labeling one's feelings, and an accurate self-assessment of strengths and challenges, okay? And it's a really, I'm loving actually having put these now into my programs how empowered my students are, because I'm always assessing. I'm constantly doing that on the fly in a formal way and in informal ways. It's really nice to start seeing them assess themselves and how powerful sort of that can be as well. So look, we're going to go through a couple of the instructional ideas we've got today that we'll tap into is like how you're feeling about your learning or checking for understanding. There's a cool check-in chart as well, or something like a weekly work habit or a learning log, which might be sort of tacked on to like something at the end of a series of lessons. So what we've got here, this is a cute little how do you feel about your learning today? So this would be maybe pushed out at the end of the day or the end of a couple of activities. And what I would do here is I'm going to change it to an individual handout activity. So each of you now get a copy and you're able to tap into how you think you went today. So you'll be able to use the sliding scale, you'll be able to pull in the information, and I can go and, as a good teacher would, model the activity for you. So I hit here. So you have a look here. Obviously, it doesn't have to be exactly where you're feeling, but have a go, and then be able to sort of drag across here. Perhaps, you know, what is it something that you want to learn more about, or share 3 questions that you still have. It's a really nice way for teachers to be tapping into where my students are at, and it's not just my assessment. I might think that, you know, Julie's been doing really well in the back there because she's just getting on with her work and not, you know, sort of keeping to herself. But I actually have found out through this reflection that she hasn't got it, and she actually needs some help today because she's still a little bit confused about the task. So I can tap into, let me have a look here. Kathy, I can see is done. I can tap into Kathy's and I can see, awesome, Kathy's got this. Homeschool partnerships is important. Sharing how I felt, that's something nice about, yep, today's learning. And that's a really sort of great way for me to really get that sense of how Kathy's going. Of course, this would be mine. I wouldn't be sharing this on the board with my students. This is for me to have and yeah, use obviously to check in with them. Beck, did you want to add anything as well to that activity there?
Yeah, I often do this, and I mean, you don't have to do it as a handout either. We do it as a shout it out. If I'm just doing a really quick one and I don't have time to do a full elaboration, or I'm working with younger students who don't quite have the capability of verbalizing their thought process and so on and so forth, I'll actually just do a really quick shout it out and get them to send up emojis to see, you know, how did you feel about counting today? And they can send up a happy face or a thumbs up, or this is a sad face because I really don't know it. So they can be as in-depth as you want, or as quick and as short as you like. And I love that because I can then touch base and see if I've got a lot of students who actually don't feel great about their learning today, then maybe that's a reflection on my teaching practice. Maybe I haven't taught it as well as what I thought I had and reached them at a level that they needed to be at. So it's really great to be able to reflect. It's also, you know, if you get lots of thumbs up, and I love it, and now I love time, which, you know, teaching time in, you know, year 2 is always ends up in tears for everybody, even the teacher. So if everybody's thumbs up with time, I can feel really good about myself and go, that was an amazing lesson. It's great for evaluations of your lessons as well. But most importantly, it's great as a touch point with the students, and they're reflecting on how they actually felt, which I don't think we do enough in our classroom. How do you feel about what you've just learned? Or how do you feel about the new skill that you have? Or do you have that new skill? So it's a really, really wonderful way to actually get them to start that inner dialogue and that inner reflection that we don't often do naturally, and starting it at a young age is really, really fantastic, because then it will be ingrained as a habit. So being able to verbalize what you're actually doing is really, really important.
Yeah, for sure, Beck. And I think you've nailed something there, you know, starting at an early age, but also the frequency of when you're doing it, and doing it all in different ways, but just constantly doing it. It's like that, you know, little and often. That is sort of what we find to be the most powerful. But yeah, setting up obviously the little ones with things like great little tools and little thumbs up and thumbs down and things that sort of best represent maybe just in an image at this stage. There's another cute little template we've got there for checking understanding too.
And the really important thing is these are ready-made. You don't have to make these, which is really exciting. So next week, I'm actually going to show you where you can find them and just put them straight in your library and use them as is. Or customize them like Molly has been doing today.
Yep. This is a great one. I use this quite a bit actually. So the weekly work habits. So it's really nice sort of, again, just reflecting on how the day went. So if you've got some time at the end there and the students can kind of, you know, see over the course of a week that, and know as well that some days I'm going to have bad days, but other days I'm going to nail it. And I've done really, really well. And I think, you know, that kind of demonstration for them and that reminder of, hey, we all have really bad days, but you know, look at what you did yesterday, and there's always tomorrow as well. So these are really cool in that way, and they're again sort of supported with images for some of the younger kids.
And look, Moz, just two things on that. I think you hit the nail on the head. When they can see that it's okay to have a bad day or a day that you just didn't feel like you did your best, then it normalizes it. Not everybody's at their best every day, and in this world of social media and everything else where everybody's just showing their highlight reel and life is spectacular on this side of the fence, it's actually not. And reality is we all have terrible days, we all have rubbish days, we all have just normal days that don't really stand out to us, and that's okay. And that's what this does. It's normalizing it for them, and it's verbalizing or showing in images that it's okay to not be at your best today, but look at how you picked it up the next day. Look at how your week ebbed and flowed, and you had a great day on Friday, but you didn't do your best on Thursday, but you pulled it back on Friday. You did a great job. Good job. The other thing here that's really important is you can use this with early years. They can move the emojis, and then what a great way to have a conference with your students. Sit down with them, do their individual, and you can actually talk to them and ask them these 3 questions and fill it out for them. My preppies know how to use the microphone on their iPads, so they just talk to Siri, and Siri types their sentences for them. But what a wonderful way at the end of the week on a Friday to finish up and sit down and say, well, you know what, I think you've had this amazing week, and let's have a look at some things that you wanted to do more of, one thing that you wondered, and really just tune in with them and tell them how wonderful they've had, what a great week and what great work you've done. And next week, let's look at this. And I love that you've wondered that. So it's a really nice way to check in.
Yeah, that's really good on that holistic kind of view for them. These next 2 I like, and maybe geared a little bit towards the older students. And what's really cool about these templates as well is, again, and I think you guys would have already connected the dots, what we're doing here, whilst we're looking at a certain one area of competency, they all cross over. Yeah. So it's, you know, they don't sort of sit separate in and of themselves. So, you know, a lot of those, regulating emotions and things like that sort of still fit into this particular practice. But this one's really great, and it also sort of, I use it a lot because I try and sort of foster choice and voice, which again sort of really fits into social and emotional learning. So this is a really cool way to do that when they have these sessions throughout the day where it is up to them. It's very self-directed. They get to choose what activity that they're going to complete, and then they do their self-assessment on that. And again, you know, it is supported with, it guides them through, if you like, that assessment process. You know, we can't just tell our students, well then, and how did you do? And, you know, and expect them to sort of know that. Share a success, something you learned, or a question. Keep giving them that scaffolding, keep sort of pushing them into these spaces.
Yeah, absolutely. And next week we'll show you how you can customize this to the activities that you're going to do and allow your students to have choice in.
And yeah, the other one, which is great overall, you know, for the high school teachers, I know our homeroom teachers, we're often sort of doing those activities where together as a group we talk about, you know, how their week has been. This is a really nice one for the homeroom teachers, to be able to sort of overall, how are you going, not just in each specific subject. And again, you know, if it's sort of one subject that maybe that they're struggling at, they can see in this grid here that they may be doing really great in another. So again, just having that really holistic view for them to be reflecting and assessing their own and self-managing. All right, I think we're almost like we could go and talk Yava on for hours and hours.
We could talk
I know. We'll just do, look, this is a cute, we did do a what's your weather. We kind of did that at the beginning. So, and we will step you through more of the how to, but this is a great one here to rate your understanding. So this is built in our smart response. And Beck, how would you use this in your classes here?
Yeah, so I know that you're doing the rate your understanding after today's lesson, which is great. I might, if I'm using it with early childhood, I might actually use emojis or pictures that might reflect it. But in our school, we actually use zones of regulation. So I would tie it in with our zone. So sometimes I even have my students come in at the start of the day and tell me what zone they're in, or we run an assessment like this, not an assessment, but I use the Wordle, or with my younger students, I use a multiple choice like this one, and I'll have which zone are you sitting in? There's the Wordle there for you. And my students can tell me, you know, what zone they're feeling like they're in at the moment before they start class. Sometimes I'll do it if we are just about to go out to lunch, just to recenter and resettle, so I know what I need to do to get them to a point of so they've come in after lunch, maybe they're in the yellow zone or the red zone, and I know that I need to do some maybe mindfulness activities to bring them back down, recenter them, ready for more learning. So it's a really great way for me to gauge what I need to do next, or my next steps with my students, but also it allows them to reflect on how they're feeling at the moment. So yeah, I use mine with zones, and next week when we go through the how-to, I can show you a couple of great lessons on zones in Smart Exchange that we can just quickly customize and do as is. So yeah, that's how I would use it.
Cool, thanks so much, Beck. All right, well, let's scoot through. So that was yeah, some really great, and as you can see, those templates, you put the pages into, you know, well, they're there at the ready. You can also share with your students. So there is the link that you can kind of share out with them, and obviously this is going to work for all our templates, especially the goal setting, where we might always get them to come back and revisit what they did, or use that, obviously, that work week template and how they went. Alrighty, so moving along, we do have self-management now as well. So this one here really sort of looks at, yeah, the ability to sort of, yeah, obviously manage yourself, managing stress, regulating one's emotions, and setting and achieving goals. You know, goal setting, I mean, is so important. That real explicit, yeah, as you know, we're explicitly now, you know, teaching our students what the goal is, what our objectives are, what our standards that we're going through. But again, it's really important for them to be doing it themselves, and obviously by doing activities like this, you know, we're helping to sort of manage the stress levels or regulating the emotions, because we're setting achievable goals, and we're you know, in that it's motivating for them to reach those goals, and it's certainly empowering when they do. Yeah, okay. So here's a cool one that we start off with this one's like a whole class one. Beck, go walk us through this one, please.
This was my favorite. So goal setting is so important, particularly for our students who are going out into a work world. There are so many distractions, and often they're in workplaces where they have to be autonomous and show initiative and work on their own devices, and that's what employers are looking for. Unfortunately, with the distractions that go on, goal setting is really important. There's a whole big TED talk on the importance of goal setting and why it's really important to learn how to goal set from a young age. And so what we do is in my class, we do whole class goals, then we narrow it down to do my goals, and then we open it up to be a reflection. So say our whole class goals might be based on the success criteria of that lesson. So if I'm doing a lesson on time in year 2, it may be that we learn quarter to, quarter past, or understand what quarter to, quarter past means, or the numbers that correlate with quarter to and quarter past, or understand o'clock and half past. But it also might be behavioural. So it might be we work together as a team, or we control our impulsivity, or we make responsible decision making. So it could be based on both the learning. It could also be based on behavioural or our work habits goal. So maybe I'm going to be agile in my thinking and flexible in my working. And then what I would do, so we would make it as a whole class. So you can see Moles is taking notes. I might type it up as a teacher if I want to. I might use a pen. But then what Molly's going to do now, and what I would do, is I would actually turn it now to a handout. And then because of that, that's now going to take the whole class goals and put it in as the template as the handout. So my students are now going to get a copy of the whole class goals, but then now they're going to have the opportunity to write their own personal goals. Now, that might be with me. Some of my students might work with me doing and setting their own goals. So they may be learning goals, they may be personal goals. So maybe I want to focused on fluency when reading, or well, we're doing time. So maybe I would like to know the difference between, I would like to be able to learn analog and digital, or the difference between them. I would like to be able to learn time lapse. But then maybe there's a personal goal in there. Maybe my goal from last week, maybe I talked a little, maybe I wasn't focused on my work, so maybe I'd like to stay focused for the entire lesson, or maybe I'd like to complete my activity, because last week I didn't complete my activity. So I might have a personal and learning goal. So then what would happen is, now that I've set my goals, which is fantastic, then we go off and we do the lesson. Once we've done the lesson, we've done our activities, our games, our assessments, our workspaces, everything, maybe it's a rotational activity, what I can do as a closeout of, or an exit ticket of our lesson, is that my students can then come back and reflect on those goals. Well, how did we do as a whole class? And how did I do as an individual? And they can type their individual reflections there. And so I can keep that. And then maybe what they might do is set a goal for next week. So next time I'd actually like to work on this, or next time I think I would do this differently. So it's a really great way. Reflections are so important. Goal setting, so important. Reflections on those goals, really, really important, because they feed into what we're going to do next time. And it's just a perpetual cycle of goal setting and reflecting, which is what we all really need to do intrinsically, but is not natural to us. So being able to start this again at a young age is really, really important. Thanks for taking all those notes, Moles. You were so quick and colourful and everything.
I know, I'm everywhere. I'm on my little podium, everybody, if everyone's wondering what I'm doing. It's a mini smartboard. I'm very lucky to have one in my office.
Someone's showing off.
I know, just a little bit. You can see how proud I am. Yeah, new goal. And I really do. I think that you know, the reflection part is the key, isn't it? It's key. Really then sort of knowing that that's like, it hasn't been successful. If it hasn't, that's okay, but why? What is it that we can sort of focus on for next time there?
And the really important thing is that's already made. So that template already made. I just use it. It's quick. It's sharp. I just pop it into any lesson. So next week I'll show you how to do that.
And then so getting a little bit sort of more, yeah, this template again is there for you guys. This really sort of starts tapping, you know, right down at that individual level, okay? So they've got, maybe it's a goal that they want to set over the course of the term, or for the, you know, half of the term or anything like that. So, you know, we're really honing in on that one goal and what are the steps to take that. I like the way that this has been designed. It really kind of taps into that visible learning as well, so you know they can see and they can celebrate once they've sort of, you know, achieved the goal and get that ultimate success, and you as a teacher sort of is checking in on that and sort of when that sort of starts. So that's a really cute little template.
Yeah, it's really important to celebrate those steps too, Molly, to keep that drive and that want to keep taking that next step. We don't often do that. We need to celebrate those small wins all the time. So
that's it, and that feeds into that self-motivation, doesn't it? Yeah,
absolutely.
Cool. And then here's just a quick one that I did look for the older year levels. I think this is just a nice one for them. Again, it's that personal goal. I use this a lot. So I want you to set a personal goal, a learning goal. And as a team member, we do a lot of collaborative work in my class. So, you know, working collaboratively and being a good team member is something that's really, that they're doing often. And those sorts of skills obviously sort of fits into the social emotional learning. But again, it's just that setting those goals, but reflecting on those. So always giving time for my students to then have that reflection, whether it be that, okay, well, that's your homework. I want you to reflect on that. So sharing the link with them for this page, which again, I would turn into a handout so they all get a copy, and tapping in, where are you at with this? What can you do to better it? Even if you think you nailed it, there's still, you know, areas there that you can kind of improve. So we'd often do that together, you know, at the beginning of the year, but by the end of the year, you know, they're doing this and they're loving it too. They really want to get into it and go and reflect on the day that they've had. Great. All right, let's do a quick time check, because everybody, if you're looking at my computer, there it is completely wrong, and you're like, oh, yeah. So yes, all these slides, I think it's these slides are interactive. Obviously, I think that's a question that's sort of coming through. We're making them interactive. So if there's sort of something that is...
At the moment, they're not. If you're joined as a student, Molly hasn't changed them. But if you watch your screen right now, at the moment, it's just display. But as Molly turns in and she clicks those little people, she can turn it into an individual handout, which she's just done. So what it'll do is it'll transition, and you'll now have handout start. So when you press start, that is actually the equivalent of you writing your name on a PDF that we've printed and handed out to you. So now what you'll see is that Molly's in her teacher demonstration mode, but if Molly then minimizes the teacher example, you'll be able to see, if you've pressed start, your name will be sitting on Molly's dashboard so that she can see that you have engaged with that page and you have started it. So it's a really great way. Handouts are the best way to do your goals. So you can do whole class, or you can do individual, or even in the next group, you'll actually see some students doing group goals, which is wonderful. So the way Molly makes it, great segue. So the way Molly has been making them interactive is by clicking those little people and turning them to handouts or workspaces. So she only did that for a few of them. So some of them were just displays for you as well.
Yeah. So yeah, like, because we want our students to be able to interact on some of our pages, others not. So for example, this page is a static page because it just has information. It's my instructional slide. So I just lock it down. It's just for me, and we'll go through obviously some of our the information that we're covering, which at the moment we are now tapping into responsible decision making. So very good little segue there when you were sort of talking about before, working together and what that looks like, and managing those sorts of parameters, if you like. So we've got this whole class activity, how can we be a good team, and then there's a collaborative group reflection. Should we step through this one here, Beck?
I think so. Yeah, this is my favorite. Now, I do this at the start of my years. This is how I set up our class expectations. We don't call them rules anymore. They're our class expectations. It's how are we going to be a good team member, both as a class member, as a small group team member, and as an individual. How am I going to be a good team member in this classroom? So what I do with my students is I actually put them into teams. They're going to practice these skills as they're pointing out which skills they're going to be. And so Molly's just turned it into a workspace instead of a handout. And now it's on the screen, it's asking how many teams would you like. Now it depends on how many students you've got in there. We might go with 2 teams, Moles. You can either go with small groups or you can go with whole class. Today we're going to go with 2 teams. So Tiffany and Kathy are in one team. Ben's been banished. He's been put into team 1. We don't know. So if you're a teacher, you can decide where each student goes if you'd like. So we've got Jane and Molly in team 2, and Kathy, Ben and Tiffany in team 1. What I'd like you to do, the question's in the centre. As remote participants, you'll be working individually. But if you were in my classroom, you'd be sitting next to your team and you'd be discussing these and you'd be typing them in. Now, you could put text in there, or you could put a picture in there that reflects what it means to be a good team member, and what you think would make a good team member. Honesty, I love that. Listen to one another. Sorry, I can see honesty coming up on mine because I'm clocked in as well. So listen to one another is a wonderful one. So what Molly can do is she can toggle in and out of different teams. And then at the end, so if you jump into team 1, they are smashing it. Sharing ideas, I saw, amazing. Honesty, communication, oh, what team members you would be. So what I would do at the end of this lesson is I would get each group to present theirs. So I can see it, that's great, but I want them to present it and talk about the qualities and why they're important. And then what we would do is we would highlight the ones that we've seen quite a lot, like that each team has put in, or ones that we really love, listening to one another. I love that. So as a teacher, I might pick up my highlighter and highlight that one. Now that is going to be part of our classroom expectations. So what I would do is I would take the ones that we've decided and we would put it into our class expectations that would be always visible, that I would have up on my walls so that they know that that's part of our classroom expectations. So when they are doing their work, I might remind them of their class expectations. This is what we expect from good team members. And then if we do have any adjustments that we do need to make, we always come back to our class expectations, go, well, which one aren't you showcasing right now, displaying right now? And how can we change that? And what do you need to do? So this is a really lovely way for them to work collaboratively by building ownership over their classroom and what they would like to see in their class members.
Yeah, it's really, it's such an effective. Yeah, it's such an effective little tool. And like the practice in and of itself of doing it is foster. I love it. It's kind of like the dog that's eating its own tail. Like it's fostering those social emotional learning skills to do with the relationship building and working collaboratively, and how do you do that respective, you know, in respecting one another and all that. So yeah, I do too. Beck, I put these up and we'll favourite them, and we'll constantly sort of have them as my little reference guides there. And look, another really cool one here for a group one. So you saw before that how, you know, checking in as an individual and how we're all doing. This one's for a group, and I think it's nice as well we need to be able to, you know, I work in a group. I work in a great team. We often are working in digital spaces as well. We've got a great team here in Australia, but we also work with the global teams. And it's really, you know, we need to be able to reflect on that. That's going to be the jobs of the next generation more so in this global world that we live in. So this is a great little activity. I must sort of admit, when my students first did this, they were really, really kind and kind of like a little bit like on the fence a bit and didn't really, but I said, it's not going anywhere. I just want to see if you can accurately kind of reflect on the activities, you know, and what was going on, like be able to tap into group dynamics. Was there someone that was taking over? Was there somebody that wasn't listening or just talked over the top of everyone and things like that? So, but more and more as we kind of kept doing this activity, the more and more that they were a lot more honest. And it was great to see. It didn't go anywhere. It doesn't, obviously. It's for them and for me to sort of tap into to see if they understand what it means to work collaboratively.
And Molly, I love this one because it not only makes them reflect on their talents, which we, you know, as Aussies, we sort of tend to shy away from big noting and saying, I was a really great communicator then, but it makes them focus on what actually their skill sets are. But then my two favourites are the compliment time and the dream team. So compliment time is something that we don't do enough of. We work, and as a teacher, I guarantee you, I always only ever called IT when I had an issue and never turned around and went, thank you so much, or send them just a, hi guys, just wanted to see how you're going, tell you you're doing a great job. It's really lovely to teach them or instill in them the ability to give compliments, because that's how we build relationships and great networks. And so it's also great for your anecdotal assessments. So being able to have your students actually be your eyes and ears in the group, that you may have missed something. Maybe Henry was an amazing collaborator, or maybe he was such a great leader in the team, and some of the students have pulled out that he's got great leadership skills, but he was quite quiet and you didn't actually hear that. So it's really great to sort of get those anecdotal pieces for assessments. And the dream team, I think, is really, really cool because it showcases, it's not about favoritism and it's not about popularity. It actually shows who are great team members, who are the people that other people want to be with, and I wonder why they want to be with them. So it's really great to really understand your other students, not just the individual student that's filling it out.
Yeah, 100%. And you'll find as well, the more that you do tasks like this, I found it actually seeping in when I hadn't even done it. So then I'd go around the class, especially with my older students, and then I'd be hearing them going, hey, I really liked how you did, you know, that you were able to go and do that research and come back and bring it to the group. I think that that worked out really well. And then celebrating themselves just in that really natural environment. And that just goes to show that doing things like this is actually working. Yeah, you'll love it. Okay, cool. Again, time check. So we have
4:35 Moles.
10 minutes. Yeah, I know.
Flying by.
Getting there. It has. It's such a great topic to sort of talk on, and I mean, Beck and I could talk under wet cement on any sort of topic. But let's move through. We do just have the one more. Oh, where am I now?
So you signed out, Moles. You, instead of ending the lesson, you mentioned
Go me.
Maybe just end the lesson.
Okay, I will. I was trying to get back into there. Return and end lesson. Thank you, my dear. Such a great.
Moles got a head cold. We're tired. She's doing so well.
Lucky I've got such a good team member who really helps me out and supports me.
Oh, look at you complimenting me already.
All right, guys, lucky last. Let's get into it. It is around our
relationship skills.
Competency, that's right. Thank you, Beck. Relationship skills. And look, obviously all of that, you know, you're connecting the dots. They all work in together. Obviously a lot of the stuff as well that we're doing around responsible decision making is also sort of building into this relationship skills as well, and building those relationship skills. And look, we won't have time to go into social awareness today, but again, you know, we'll just you'll know that by doing all these activities here, you know, we're giving our students the understanding of how to sort of work and include those from, you know, diverse backgrounds. We're always changing our groupings around, as you saw before, in the workspaces, making sure that they're getting a chance to work with everyone and not just their buddies as well. All right. So look, let's get through this. We thought we'd throw in a YouTube clip for those that don't know, and again, we will go through the how-to next week, but this is a great little starter. So this is something that Beck and I do at the beginning of the year, and it's a really great sort of relationship building activity. It's super fun as well. We do sort of start off with a bit of a clip, and you can search the clip that suits your age group the best. This is quite a little fun one. You guys can kind of click through. Some of you might already be playing it, and it's around relationship skills. What we do then is just have a quick little shout it out for them to sort of answer the questions about the clip. I'm not going to show you the clip today because of time. But they're able to sort of put in, you know, the most important quality of friendship was one of the key questions from the clip. And the other key question from the clip was, what was the annoying trait of James? They're able to kind of recognize, I know, poor James. James's annoying trait, for everyone that wants to know, was that he talked over the top of all of his friends. So that's not very fun. And then we do this really fun activity where this is like, it's almost like covers all the skills in one, which is like communication, relationship building, you know, resolving conflict. I don't know if you've ever played, if anyone has partners out there that ever plays Pictionary with your partners. This is kind of like one of those activities that it's a really nice way to get them. So you can talk us through it, Beck.
Yeah, absolutely. This is fun and infuriating all in one. So this is my favorite, one of my favorite activities. And look, I do it in a million different ways, but I love doing it this way because I actually sometimes set, we do like an around the world challenge where they're racing with pairs and they're doing different activities and building relationship skills activities. This is one of them. So what we do is Molly has it on teacher directed at the moment. What she's going to do is she's going to go to student mode. So in student mode, it means that on their devices, they can go to any page. So this is a 2-page activity. This is the first page is the flip out. The second page is the handout that Molly's going to show you shortly. Now, if say I am the partner that's on the flip out, Molly, you're going to be the drawer. Now you can't see this, Molly, but I would choose a card to flip on my device, and I would flip that card there. Now I wouldn't tell my partner I would keep that visual. And then on Molly's screen, she would actually be on this other page. So Molly's already left it as student. So I'm going to actually I'm going to choose a different one, Molly. You don't know which one I'm going to choose. So
no,
on mine,
okay.
if you go to student mode, I'm in a section. So, oh, fantastic. I've found the one that I'm going to do. So Molly's going to do it in the teacher handout. Tiffany's already in the student handout. So Molly, this is the drawing. Now I have to use my communication skills to explain to Molly what she's drawing. So it's very fun to watch. So we'll do it really quickly. So Molly, what I want you to do is take your pen and I want you to draw a small circle in the middle of your page, a small circle. Excellent. Now what I want you to do is from that circle, I want you to come out and make an arc, but don't come all the way back into the circle. So you're going to sort of try and come out to the circle a little way, and then that's excellent, perfect. It's like a hook. And then I just want you to do hooks all the way around the circle until you finish the circle. So hooks, but make sure that your hooks connect so that when you come out of the circle, they touch the other hook. Amazing.
Oh my God, and you could see that I was also an art teacher, not.
And
What
so,
have you got me drawing?
what I've got you drawing, if you go back, Molly, on my screen, it's the third one, but it might have been dealt out slightly differently on your screen. There it is. I asked you to draw it.
So great fun. Let's see as well if we had anyone joining in the little task. All right, we got 4 minutes left. What have we got, Steve? Did you all? Yeah, Steve's
Wow, look at those hooks, Molly. I love it. That's a large circle in the center of your screen.
Steve. Yeah, that is good. You did start big, and then we'll see your Tiffany. I'm already calling you Tiff. Sorry, Tiffany. Did you give it a go there? So.
You're part of the team, Tiff.
That's great.
Lovely.
It's such a fun little activity, and you can hear everyone going, no, let's start again.
Yeah.
It's a really nice
Great
way. And then,
skills.
yeah,
We
do little ones throughout the day, which is also they're great little like warm-up activities too. So it's a sort of a fun way to sort of start. Look, the other thing as well that's really important here, and probably should swap out the image because we haven't been using the yellow dot for a while, but is to really know for the students where they can go to get help with something. So in terms of their relationships, like who might be somebody that they trust. So it may be teachers, it may be somebody at the school, it might be a friend, it might be someone at home like a brother or sister of your mum and dad or grandparents, and then someone in your community. So if they're doing anything like outside of community like soccer, or they're doing their church group or anything like that, that there'd be someone in their community that they could go and talk to. This is a nice little list for them to sort of have a look at. Sometimes we share that as well, like anonymously, in terms of some people might not know, like there's other people in the community that you can kind of go to, or maybe at school that they can go to. So sometimes if those answers aren't as widely kind of known. But the other cool thing, what we do is often, and we'll put the little thumbs up somewhere, or I have used the yellow dot as well just for a little bit more. Sometimes I ask them to pop a little yellow dot on if we do a homework task or we're doing a task and they kind of need a little help, and it might not be to do with learning. It might be to do with something else, and maybe they just need to talk to someone, but they're just not brave enough to come and see me, or they don't want their friends to come and see that they're talking to the teacher at lunchtime or doing something, like there's something sort of happening. And it's a really sort of nice, very gentle way for them just to pop a little symbol in there to kind of go, I really need to chat. There's something there that I'd really love to talk to you about. So we add something like that. Cool. Okay. So next. Go, Beck, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I will. So we use the high five. So we'll do the palm, and they'll write 5 people that they can connect to, and something on the palm. So a 6th person that they can connect to. So this is my safe network that I can reach out to when I need to. And so I often do a handout with a palm on it, and we work together to write who those people are. Sometimes, depending on the class or the group, we use photos, but most of the time we write their name.
Oh, I'm trying. It doesn't like that I put my hand on it. It says my hand.
So Molly's this is great. So because now Molly's just added a new page, she's drawn the hand, but now she wants you guys to do your network. All she has to do is press the people handout activity, and now you've got to actually, she's going to go to teacher mode because I'm still on flip. I'm still navigating through this amazing lesson, and now it's taken you directly to that handout. So if you press start, now you've got a palm on your screen that you can then fill out and show us who your sixth network is.
Cool. We got there. Thanks so much, guys. We will do questions in a minute, but I think, and I hope that what you can see from us today, look, we know we work for Smart and we're always in the technology, but it is so user friendly that once you sort of get that real grasp, it's like, you know, you get your phone for the first time. The more that you're using it, the easier it's going to be. Just like I had that idea whilst Beck was talking to add a page and add a palm, you know, to do things kind of on the fly. And what's obviously really fantastic as well is that there's so much content, you know, for those that haven't already sort of found it. We will obviously go through all of our templates with you guys next week, but we have so much and a lot that I have got here from the emotional literacy space. So by all means, check in there, and you'll see as well that there is, you know, to do with literacy and numeracy and just so much content, because we want you guys to be able to sort of grab things from places and have this really sort of rich environment, but that it's easy for you. Yeah, time savers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So look, we'll go to questions. I might sit in our little resources page so you guys can kind of start having a look. We'll see, there are some questions sort of popping up. Did you want to come off mute, Kendall, or was there nothing?
There is a question here. So we've got, it might be a bit of a trick question or just personal, what you would do in this situation. So what if a student encounters tech problems, distracting them from pinpointing emotions and being able to respond?
Yeah, look, that's fair. That's a sort of fair question. Obviously, tech is tech. There's other ways to sort of then, you know, that we would always have our backup as well as teachers. You know, the beauty of something like this, if we wanted to, we can have our pages, we can snip them if you like. Oh, I should be in my library, sorry. And we can sort of make those pages a printable handout if we really wanted to, if we knew that we were sort of coming in and that there was some problems with our network or anything like that, that we'd have that backup just like we would with anything.
And look, once they, you know, once, as Molly said, at the start of the year, we sort of walked them through it, and it's a little bit of a slower process to get them used to it. But equally, you know, they need 1 or 2 times to figure out how to join our class, and they're so super quick. I mean, they'll surprise you. It takes 30 seconds. Often they're super keen to get onto Hello Smart because they want to play the games, because they want to be a part of it. They want to have initiative and they want to have the lesson in their hands. So they're really, really quick to join. And, you know, this is you're teaching the generation that has never lived without technology. So they know that, you know, if you get the spinning wheel, refresh. If it's not working, refresh. It's always a refresh. It doesn't often, like, I haven't ever found a tech issue that has completely distracted them from the activity. What it has done, if they've had to wait for a little bit longer, they're frustrated because they want to do the activity. It hasn't distracted or taken away from the activity. They just want me to know how they're feeling, or they want me to know their contribution. So for me, it's never really been a distraction as much as it is just learning how to cope and be flexible. And that's showcasing some of our SEL skills and our entrepreneurial skills. We need to be flexible, we need to be adaptable. And so our students are learning how to do that on the fly as we're doing the lesson, and that's the environment that we're creating. It's not always going to work. It's never always going to work. And so it's a really great way to really teach them how to deal with that.
That's so true. That's a really good point, Beck. I'll add to that as well, just to top up, is what I really sort of found as well. Because we would do some of this in a physical space before digital. I feel that the generation sort of coming through, because they own that digital space as well, that they're actually sort of in there and wanting to sort of yeah, be a little bit more expressive, or I don't know if they feel safer. It's sort of a really, I know that's not part of your question, but I just thought I'd add to it. Yeah, it's a really interesting kind of landscape now to sort of see that with the students and tapping into their world in that way. But yeah, they'll problem solve. They'll do something really creative that teaches you something, that's for sure. Anything else,
Awesome.
Kenny?
No, that's the only question for today. So luckily, because we're running over time, so I will do a quick wrap up. I'm happy if you guys want to drop off for the afternoon, and I will share my camera and my screen. I'll take back control. Okay, so if you want to get any free resources, similar to, so what you're looking at was Molly's library. She's actually gotten these lessons from the content.smarttech.com. That's our Smart Exchange, SMEX, we also call it as well. So you can actually search for resources, search for lessons by grade or subject, and then add them to your library, which when you saw Molly's view, all her lessons laid out nicely, that's where it'll pop into. So have you checked out Smart 360 yet? I know I mention it every week, so if you haven't yet, I would encourage you to go in and have a look. It's full of PD content. You've got the research rooms, the auditorium, which has keynotes, and you've got the breakout sessions, which it's all up to date, relevant PD. It's regularly refreshed, and it's from a global perspective as well. And there's in the exhibit hall, it's exactly like what you'd see in a real life physical exhibit hall, and it breaks out Smart, the beast that is Smart, into bite-sized pieces where you can have a look at a breakdown of everything that we offer. That's just a snapshot of one of the booths there. And then you can also go in and say g'day in the Australia-New Zealand booth, and it also has all of our content lined up on the bottom there. That's our menu, our main menu there, and then that pops out for more resources. So for those who might have missed it at the start, I did notice that there was a few who popped in after the my intro at the beginning. So you can earn a PD certificate for this. You go to training.smarttech.com and then click on certifications, and then that'll pop out to our library, and you just navigate to this webinar, and then at the end there'll be a mark complete button, which you can see down here in the image in the left, and then that will automatically download you a PDS certificate that you can save locally to your computer. So that is our third webinar down. I can't believe it. And now we've got 3 more to go. So we're halfway through the webinar series, and next week will be part 2. And as Molly mentioned, she'll be taking you through how they made those lessons that they showed today in today's session. And then for the 10th of March, we've got how to formatively assess your students. And then to finish off, we're going to take a deep look into Smart 360. So you'll be experts on how to navigate that and find some awesome PD. So that is it for this afternoon. I will sign off, and enjoy your afternoon, everyone. See you later.
Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Bye, guys. Thanks heaps.